You are welcome to the Messiah Revelation Ministry. We are a prophetic end-time ministry dedicated to end-time events. And today we are focusing on the awakening of the Hebrews. And we are talking about the wars that the Gentile powers fought against the Hebrews. And we are looking at one of the wars, the Sagrenti War, 150 years ago in 1874. The British Gentile forces, the British Army fought a war against the Ashantis in Ghana 150 years ago. And we are looking at some of the implications of the war. When we're talking about the Hebrews, these are the children of Jacob. They fled Jerusalem AD 70 after Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans, and they migrated to other parts of Africa, and from where they were taken as slaves to other parts of the world. And the prophecy in Isaiah 11, chapter 11, says that in the end times they will be gathered from all the four corners of the earth. Some of these Hebrews are scattered, whether you're talking about United States, Brazil, Jamaica, and Seychelles Island, Haiti. And the records are very clear. The slave coasts of Africa are dotted with slave dungeons where the Hebrews were taken as slaves. And you have to remember that the place that they call the slave coast of West Africa is also the place where we had the kingdom of Judah. The European powers, including Britain, France, Italy, Germany, they fought wars against the Hebrews who were in Africa and all over the world. And of course, the war that they fought is part of the war, the conspiracy, and that the Bible talks about, conspiracy against the Hebrews. The Gentile powers fought wars against them. And in 1874, the British forces fought a war against the Ashantis in Ghana. And as a result of the wars, as a result of the 1874 war, we call it Sagrenti War. You can Google Sagrenti War and you will get more information about it. I'm leaving a video in the description box, so you can watch that video, and that video will give you more information about the 150th anniversary of the Sagrenti War. The Sagrenti War was a war that the British fought against the Ashantis in Ghana. And the Ashantis are Hebrew by oral tradition. I am an Ashanti and I am a Hebrew by oral tradition. My grandmother told me I am a Hebrew descendant. The Ashantis are Hebrew descendants. And the historical records show that people from the Ashanti part of Ghana or West Africa were taken as slaves to other places, including the United States, Brazil, Jamaica, and other parts of the world in the Caribbean. The British fought the war 1874 against the Ashantis, and as a result of the war, the Ashanti towns, cities, villages were set on fire by British forces, and a lot of people were killed. And the war was fought in Ashanti land by British forces because the Europeans came to exploit Africa and to steal their resources. And as a result of the Sagrenti War in 1874, certain things were stolen from the Ashantis. And in 2024, February 2024, the Ashantis celebrated the 150th anniversary of the Sagrenti War in February 2024. And it was a very colorful ceremony, and certain things happened. First of all, a museum in California brought 7 items that were stolen from the Ashantis as a result of the 1874 wars. 7 items were brought by a museum in California, United States. As we are aware, so many things were stolen from Africans, whether you're talking about um, um, Benin, Nigeria, almost every place in Africa, things were stolen from them. Their resources were stolen by the Gentile powers, German, French, Italy, United States, and also Great Britain. They stole certain things from the African countries. And so when the Ashantis celebrated 150th anniversary of the Sagrenti War, the museum in California flew 7 items that they stole, and then they presented it to the Ashanti people. Of course, that is an evidence that the Gentile powers fought a war with the Ashantis, who were Hebrews, and they stole certain things from them. How did they get to California? How did things stolen from Ashantis in 1874 get to a museum in California? You have to remember that the Gentile powers colluded among themselves to hide evidence of what they did wrong against the Hebrews. I met a Hebrew man. He is an African American. Definitely, he's a Hebrew, and he is among the first people who left United States in the 1960s and went to live in Israel in a city called Dimona. I met him about 3 years ago, and he was telling me the things that the Gentile power stole from Africa and where they are hiding them. And he was telling me that some of the artifacts were stolen from Africa, and particularly from Asante, and they are being hidden in museums throughout the United States. And he's even talked about the Smithsonian Institute in the United States as one of the places where some of these things are being hidden. A lot of documents are being hidden, and the documents were stolen from Africa. And in the case of the Sagrenti War, it was a war that the British fought against the Ashantis in 1874, and the British destroyed Ashanti. They set cities on fire, and many people were killed, and so many things were stolen. And as I said, 7 items that were stolen by the British, they ended up being in a museum in California. If you watch the video I'm leaving in the description box, you see the ceremony, the 150th anniversary ceremony of the Sagrenti War, and you see white man, white woman from California presenting the 7 items that the British stole from the Ashantis in 1874. As at the time of making this video, 32 items are hidden in a museum in London, and the British government is negotiating how to surrender the 32 items that they stole from the Ashantis, and which they have deposited in a museum in London. It's very crazy because as a result of negotiations, the British would only agree to loan back the items to the Ashantis for 3 years, and they can renew it for 3 years, but the items should be returned to the British. What am I talking about? I'll give you a scenario. Let's assume you are in your house. I come to your house and steal your television set. I steal your computer. I steal your table. And then I take it to my country and I keep it for 150 years. And then after 150 years, the true owners of the items, they want to come and get the items. And then I'll tell you, hey, I know I stole the things from you. I stole the refrigerator, I stole your computer, I stole your table, but I will not return it to you. The only way I will return those items to you is if you agree that if I return the items to you, you can keep it for 3 years. Maximum, you can renew it for another 3 years. But after the 3 years, you have to bring the items back to me. And this is a very crazy negotiations. The British are saying that the items that they stole from the Ashantis in Ghana, which are in England, in a museum in England, and probably some of them may be in the palace of the Queen or the King of England. They will only return those items to the Ashantis if the Ashantis will agree to keep the items for only 3 years, maximum 6 years, and bring the items back to the British for them to keep. And they are using a lot of laws. These are international laws about artifacts. And so you see how the Gentile powers, how they stole things from the Ashantis, and who are Hebrews, as a result of a war in 1874. And California has brought the items that they received. The British stole the items from the Ashantis, and some of them ended up in a museum in California, but the Americans have come with the items. 7 of them. I'm not sure they brought all of them. They only brought 7, but at least they brought it. They brought the items, but the British will not bring the 32 items. I'm not sure it's 32. It's probably more than 32. But they are now making a negotiation. They will only bring the items they stole from the Ashantis. If the Ashantis will keep the items for only 3 years, and if they want, they can keep it for another 3 years. But they have to agree to bring the items back to the British so that the British will keep the thing that they stole from the Ashantis forever, ever, and forever. A British scholar, a white man, he did an estimate, and he said that as a result of the Sagrenti War, 1874, the war is named after a British general, Sir Garnet Wolseley. We call it a Sagrenti War. As a result of the Sagrenti War of 1874, according to this British scholar, as much as 400,000 ounces of gold were stolen by the British from the Ashantis in Ghana. 400,000 ounces of gold. They were stolen. And he estimated that the present value of 400,000 ounces of gold probably will be 2 billion pounds sterling. I don't believe that the estimates are correct. I'm sure the British stole more than 400,000 ounces of gold. You know, the Ashantis occupy a land in Ghana that is full of gold. And that is why Ghana was named the Gold Coast by the British. And so a lot of gold were stolen by the British. And I believe that it's more than 400,000 ounces of gold. Are they bringing the gold? No. They are bringing the artifact, but they are not bringing the gold that they stole. There's another thing that I need to also make you aware, particularly the Hebrews, because we are doing the awakening of the Hebrews who are scattered over the world. As a result of the 1874 Sagrenti War, the British set the Asante capital city, Kumasi, on fire, and they burned a lot of things. But there's a record, oral tradition, that the British took a manuscript that was written in Hebrew. So the question you ask yourself is, why would the Ashantis in Ghana have documents written in Hebrew language? That's the first question. If they are not Hebrews, why would they have documents written in Hebrew? You have to remember, they fled Jerusalem AD 70, and they had documents with them. They kept the documents, and they kept the documents with them. They kept the Hebrew culture. As the time of making this video, the Ashantis keep the Hebrew culture, and they keep the Hebrew calendar, and there are a lot of similarities between the customs of the Ashantis and the ancient customs of the Hebrews, of course, evidencing that the Ashantis are actually Hebrews. The British took the documents written in Hebrew, they took it away. Of course, the British know that the Ashantis are Hebrews. The British and the Gentile powers know that the people that they took as slaves are actually Hebrews. They had Hebrew names, and they took Hebrew documents, and they are hiding the Hebrew documents. The man that I met, I told you about him. He was one of the African Americans, the Hebrews who left America, and they went to live in Israel. They went under a man called Ben Carter. He said that an angel spoke to him that he should leave America and go and live in Israel. He is one of the original men, African American men, who left America and went and settled in Israel in a city called Dimona. He told me that the Europeans colluded to keep certain information secret, including documents that they took from the Ashantis, and they hired people to translate those documents so that they will know what these documents are. They are not talking about it because there's a conspiracy to keep this information secret. They don't want the black man, the Negro, to be aware that he is actually a Hebrew. And so the Hebrew document that the British forces stole from Ashanti when they set the cities on fire, the documents are still with them. They are not returning the documents. And according to this man, the documents are being dispersed in so many locations in England and also in the United States. And so when representative from a museum in California came or went to Ghana February 2024 to officially deliver 7 items that were stolen from the Ashantis, Definitely, that is evidence for everybody to know that there was a war 150 years ago. The war is called Sagrenti War. You can Google it and get more information about it. And you can also watch the video I'm leaving in the description box. And as a result of the war, certain things were stolen from the Ashantis, and they are returning them, 7 of them. The British don't want to return the item they stole. They are saying that the only way they can return it is if the Ashantis can see the items and keep it for only 3 years and return them back to the British who stole the items from the Ashantis. Does it make sense? If you think it makes sense, let me know why it makes sense. If you steal something from somebody, do you have any right to retain the items, even over 150 years? And do you have in the audacity to tell the victim that I'll return your items to you for you to keep it for only 3 years, but bring it back to me, to the British, the ones who stole the items? So from this video, what do you know? You know that war was fought against the Hebrews, in this case, the Ashantis. Was instigated by the Gentile powers, in this case, United Kingdom. And things were stolen from the Ashantis. And there were a lot of wars that resulted in people being captured and enslaved, put on British ships to different parts of the world. As a result of the Sagrenti War, um, gold was stolen from the Ashantis. Resources were stolen from Ashantis. And European scholar says 400,000 ounces of gold worth £2 billion were stolen, but it's more than that. But most importantly, a document written in Hebrew evidencing that the Ashantis are Hebrews. If the Ashantis are not Hebrews, why would my grandmother tell me when I was a young boy that you are Hebrew, we are Hebrew descendants? My grandmother never went to school in Ghana, but he told me when I was a young man, a boy, that the Ashantis are Hebrews, direct descendants from Jacob. It's a history that they are hiding from you, but Elohim will make sure that the Hebrew is awakened wherever they are. And the Ashantis celebrated 150th year anniversary of the Sagrenti War, the war the British fought against the Ashantis, where they killed Ashantis, they set their cities on fire, stole their gold, and also captured documents, Hebrew documents, which show the Ashantis are Hebrews. They are hiding the documents. And so you have to know the Gentile powers, whether you're talking about Gentile United Kingdom, you're talking about heathen United States, they are all aware that the Negroes that they enslaved, those that they captured, the Hebrews. And that's why Harriet Tubman, the slave who fought for emancipation of slaves in America, Harriet Tubman, that's why they call her Ya Santua. Ya Santua was a queen mother of the Ashantis, and she fought the British forces. When men were running away, it took a woman, Ya Santua, to fight. In the same way, when men were overpowered by slavery, it took a woman, a brave woman, Harriet Tubman, to fight. And people thought or knew that Harriet Tubman probably was an Ashanti from Ghana, because she exhibited traits that is similar to Yasantua, the famous Ashanti queen who fought the British. So this is your history, the Hebrew Israelites who are still scattered over. The Gentile powers wage war against you. They conspire to wage war against you. In the case of the Sagrenti War, fought against the Ashantis in 1874, the Gentile power, England, assembled soldiers from other parts of Africa, and even soldiers from Jamaica, to come to Ghana and fight the Ashantis, set their cities on fire, kill their men and women, steal their resources, and capture documents that proves that the Ashantis are Hebrews. They are hiding the Hebrew identity of the Negro. They are hiding the Hebrew identity of the Ashantis. So they set fire on the Ashanti cities in 1874 and captured Hebrew documents. You don't need a DNA to prove you are a Hebrew. You are a Hebrew, and they know that. The Gentile powers know that. The British soldiers are aware that they captured documents in 1874 proving that the Ashantis are actually Hebrews. Thank you for watching this video.